Hello and welcome back to Mondraker TV. It's the best day of the year, of the week, of any time. It's new bike day. And what that means this time is our long travel, full power eMTB gets a complete overhaul. This is the brand new Level. Okay, so this is the brand new Mondraker Level. Here are the headlines. Full aluminium frame construction on here. So that's an alloy front end, alloy rear end, alloy rockers, alloy linkages. Everything is alloy. We've decided this is the best for the application of the bike. Up front, you've got 180 millimeters of travel available for you. On the rear, 170 millimeters. As you can probably notice on this one, it's running a mullet style setup. So that means a smaller 27.5 inch rear wheel combined with the bigger 29 inch front wheel. Powering this bike is the latest Bosch Generation 5 of the CX Performance line system on here. So where does this sit then exactly in the range of e-bikes that we already have? Well, perhaps you like the look of the Crafty, but you want a bit more travel or you want something a bit more aggressive. Or perhaps you've been looking at something like the Dune with the mullet configuration on there, the longer travel and the bias to enduro riding or downhill trails, but you just want a bit more power. Well, this is the one for you then. Okay, first up, let's have a look at the frame. So the frame is made using our stealth alloy construction. There are 3 models available and they all have alloy and they all have the same exact frame set. Now, yes, the alloy frame is heavier than our carbon options that we have in other models. And yes, it is heavier, quite a bit heavier than the Crafty when you pick it up as a static weight. But the fact is, when you point this down on the trails that this is designed to perform best on, you simply don't notice that. It's quite astonishing how nimble this bike is, considering it's a heavier bike with a lot of travel. Yeah, it's just designed to take the rough and tumble. Alloy is appropriate for that. Okay, let's get on to the suspension then, because this is a very, very important part of this bike. So it shares the same updated or revised version of our Zero suspension platform that you can see across many of our other bikes. So we first brought this out with the F-Podium and the Neat, following on from there with the Sly, and then of course in more recent times, the Crafty. Now this bike shares probably the most amount of similarities with the Crafty in terms of visually how it looks, but the rear end feels very different to the Crafty. So yes, it has 20 millimeters more travel, which on a bit of paper might not sound much, but it feels dramatically different. So this has 25.5% progression built into the suspension design of this bike. It's been designed with coil shocks in mind, and we spec a coil, a different one on each model. Yes, you can, in case you're wondering, fit an air shock on there, and I've actually got an air shock on that prototype at the moment. Just been doing some testing with different ones over the time, but the coil shock feels brilliant on here. That is what belongs on this bike. Now the 25.5% progression is 16% more than what we have on the Crafty, so that should hint, alongside that 170mm, at the intention of this. And when it comes to the anti-squat on the rear end of here then, we've got 114%, which is measured at the sag point. Well, the Crafty, combined with the bigger wheels front and rear, so 29s, it needs to excel in undulating terrain on lesser terrain, as well as being able to get up all the steep stuff. So it's really been designed to manage climbing as best as possible without compromising a plush suspension platform. This one, the climbing is less important and the descending is far more important. So we've built this bike, so it's only 10% difference, but it does make a significant difference to how the bike feels when you start pointing it down. It's extremely plush, it's very progressive, and it's extremely sensitive. There is so much grip on the back end of this. Okay, and onto the back end of the bike, which, as of course you know now, is a 27.5 inch wheel in a mullet configuration. You can't fit 29 inch wheel in here. The bike has been designed with this in mind. Now, like the Crafty, we tried various different prototype mules with different length back ends and different wheel sizes, so we could really make sure the configuration of the bike suited what the intention was. With the Crafty, because it really needed to maximize on efficiency over undulating terrain and on climbing, it was a no-brainer to have the 29. Again, we did try it with the 27.5, but the 29 just worked best. This is a complete opposite. Where the Crafty was designed to be optimal on undulating and climbing, this is designed to be optimal when you point the thing down. There was no contest. So yeah, we tried it with different length chainstays on here, and they are size specific, which we'll get to in a minute. But there was no contest. The smaller rear wheel combined with the bigger travel bike, the long geometry, the weight that you get from the e-motor system and battery on here, it just feels brilliant. It's capable, but still really maneuverable. Okay, and onto the power system on the bike. So this is running the latest Bosch Performance CX system, the Gen 5. And this, of course, is now capable of up to 100 Newton meters of torque, which is huge. And it also has up to 750 watts of peak power. It's a highly customizable, highly tunable system and has over-the-air updates. New on this model, we have the brand new Kiox 400 top tube mounted display on here. So this is a full color TFT display. It has a USB 10 watt charging socket in there, and you can completely customize what you want to see on the display. This also means, as well as having the information at hand, it's not distracting like having a display in front of the bars, and it means it clears up your eye line on the handlebars. And controlling it is the wireless mini remote. We always like to use this. It's easily replaceable if it's damaged. It looks discreet, and it means it's super intuitive to use. And finally, sizing on the bikes. We are offering 5 sizes now, just like we have on the Crafty previous. So there's a small, a medium large, which fills a bit of a void that we'd had in the past, the large and the extra large. And we have size specific chainstays on these as well. The 3 smaller sizes have 1 size chainstay, and the 2 larger sizes have the longer chainstay. Now, how do we get to this cutoff point? Well, we tried all sizes on all sizes, if that makes sense. So we ran all the test mules in different sizes with both back ends on there. So unlike some other manufacturers that move the pivot point to compensate for the back end length, we have different back ends on our bikes. The pivot point's in the same place on the front triangle. That's the details of the frame set then. So let's have a look at the geometry. So up front, the head angle is 64 degrees in standard, 63.6 in low. Seat angle, 78 degrees standard, 77.6 degrees in low. Top tube across the 5 sizes varies from 576 millimeters up to 664. Seat tube length starts at 380 millimeters on the small and up to 490 on the extra large. Chainstay length on small, medium and medium large is 445 millimeters. On the extra large and the large is 455 millimeters. BB height 353 millimeters standard, 348 and low. Fork offset 44 millimeters. Reach across the 5 sizes starts at 440 and goes up to 520, and you can minus 4 millimeters on each of those on the low setting. Stack is from 640 up to 676, minus 3 millimeters on the low setting. We also offer an adjustable travel dropper post on all models and on all sizes. And there are 3 models available in the Level, starting at the Level R. Now this one looks fantastic in the bright chili red and super black back end. It's using RockShox suspension, Zeb Select on the front with a vivid coil base shock on the rear. Shifting is SRAM 90 Eagle T-type on there, and brakes are SRAM Maven Bronze with a 220mm rotor on the front and 200 on the rear. All bikes have the same size rotors and they can accept the 220mm on the rear, but with the configuration with the smaller back end, we found the 200 to be optimal. The RR model is Nimbus Grey and Super Black. That's running the Fox 38 factory Grip X2 and the DHX2 coil. Shifting is Eagle Access S1000, and the brakes again SRAM Maven Bronze with a 220 and 200 combination. And finally, the XR model, which is dense yellow and super black, which just looks angry, doesn't it? Just wants to go. This one has the RXF 38 fork from Öhlins on the front, TTX coil shock on the rear, of course with the yellow coil blending in perfectly with the bike. You have GX Eagle Access on there, and you have Maven silver brakes, again with a 200 and 220 combination. Of course, there's full specs available on the website, but that is the 3 models we are offering. Okay, I can feel your eyes burning into me with questions, because let's face it, there's 3 great models and there's loads of numbers and loads of stuff going on. I mean, how different is it to the Dune? Is it just a big crafty? Well, let's get started with some FAQs, shall we? Is the bike just a big crafty? Well, kind of, but not really. I think internally we've almost referred to it as a big travel crafty, but really it's a very different bike to ride. So yeah, visually it does share the same exact lines. The mullet set up on the back really does make a huge difference in the way the handling is, and the suspension, although it looks the same, it handles completely differently off-road. If you as a mountain biker are a sort of person that really does prefer something well-rounded, then the crafty is going to be a bit better for you. If you want something more on the aggressive side, it can still climb anything, but really wants to just get trucking on those descents, that's going to be the bike for you. Why is it not carbon like the Dune? Well, the Dune was specifically designed from the ground up to be extremely light. It's one of the lightest e-bikes that we have, second only to the Neat, which is just optimal in terms of weight. So the Dune was supposed to be, in respect of handling, exactly the same as a modern enduro bike, and it really does feel like that. And it maximises on that by having the light power system on there. By putting a full-size 800 watt-hour battery and having just a big travel application, it just didn't really lend itself to making a bike a lightweight. And let's face it, a bike like this is going to be hammered. Alloy seems the perfect material for this frame. Okay, another question that kind of repeats itself, who is the Level for? As I explained, it's for the rider that wants something that bit more aggressive, but it's not exclusively for that rider. If you just want something more comfortable with more travel, this has more than the crafty, and that might make it a better bike for you. It's definitely worth trying one to consider over the 2 options for you. Disc rotor size. So on all the production bikes, as I've mentioned on the specs earlier, we're speccing 220 on the front with 200 on the rear. Yes, it will accept a 220 on the rear, but a combination of the power of those Maven brakes and the smaller rear wheel, everyone that tried every size in the development stage, whether it's the extra larges through to the smalls, everyone found the 220 a little bit too powerful on the back. But yes, if that suits you, of course you can. Another compatibility thing, tyre size. We recommend a maximum of 2.6. There is loads of space in there, as you can see on the frames, but 2.6, stay. But a 2.6 enables for plenty of mud clearance as well. And I'm not sure anyone would really want to go much bigger than that anyway. Can it carry a water bottle or more than one? Yeah, absolutely. These can carry 2 water bottles. You've got a mount on the down tube and one underneath the top tube there. It also means you could carry a water bottle and a range extender at the same time. So the Power More range extender is a 250 watt-hour battery made by Bosch. We don't supply it with the bike, it's an optional accessory, but it enables you to run that and a water bottle on the bike. Can you run a longer travel fork than what we spec on the bikes? Yeah, you can. So we spec a 180mm travel fork on all models of bike, but we have tried longer during the prototyping stage. And although the frame can take it, it's more of a fact it ruins the handling of the bike if you go too long. So the longest we'd recommend putting on any level would be a 190mm travel fork or a 605mm axle to crown. Bearing in mind that if you put a 190 with the 605 on the bike, you're going to slacken the angles off by ½ a degree. You're going to raise the bottom bracket by 3mm, which doesn't sound that much, but it also shortens your reach by nearly 5mm. So it does make quite a significant difference in how the bike feels. And to be fair, they feel amazing with the 180, so I'm not sure that you do need to go higher on there. Is the battery removable? Yes, it is. It's exactly the same system that we use on the Crafty. So it's a single bolt, nice easy system to get the battery on and off. We have a video on how to do that on our social channel, so you can check that out. And most importantly, just to recap from earlier, we spec the 800 watt hour battery on all 3 models, but you can, if you want to, put 600 in there, because thanks to Bosch, they're exactly the same length. And the last question I'm sure everyone wants to know is, what is the minimum and maximum insertion depth for dropper posts? Well, the minimum on all sizes is 100 millimeters. I'm just going to throw a chart on screen and you can see for each size the corresponding size, going up to 250 for the biggest size there. Well, that's a lot of information to process about the brand new Level. I really hope you love it as much as I do. It's definitely been a surprising bike considering how much I already love the Crafty. I'd love to know what you think of the bike in the comments underneath. And well, yeah, thank you for watching. Go and check them out at your latest Mondraker dealer. Thanks for watching. See you in another video soon. Take care.